Hi guys, it's Nicole, and I'm back today sharing more Simple Stories goodies. Today I'm playing with For the Record. Here you can see everything that I've got from the collection, and I printed out two photos. One was color, one was black and white, one was slightly bigger, and you can see they're both circles. Now, I'm gonna have an image pop up on the screen and you guys can laugh with me, but basically I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And sometimes when I'm doing other stuff, in this case, I think I was cooking dinner, I'll have like the mental picture of the finished layout like pop up into my head, and I'm like frantically trying to find something to scribble like a really bad sketch on. This instance, I grabbed my phone and I doodled this, and you'll see it's pretty close to the end. Ultimately, I did one photo instead of trying to fit two of them with the title and everything in there, and I'm going to explain why I switched that. And originally, I thought that on those like bisected sections on the background, I was going to match the embellishments in like a tone on tone way. Ultimately, I changed that up. So I cut out my photo. I have never purged and will never purge that circle cutter tool. It's super old. It comes in handy for things like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a template. Before I drew the lines on here, I did trim off about 1/8 of an inch around the edges because I want the white cardstock mat to be around the finished edge of the entire layout. So I trimmed it before I started kind of creating this template. So I'm marking the halfway point for, how do I explain this? I found 6 inches on the vertical, the horizontal, and then I went from the corners, and then I'm just going to label them 1 through 8. And there's probably smarter ways to do this. This is just what felt right in the moment. So I went ahead, cut these out. Like I said, I labeled them so I knew where they were going to go after I traced them on the pattern papers. I started with the 12 by 12 pattern papers and was picking some of my favorites. I did end up cutting way more of these triangle sections than I actually used, and it was mostly because the issue that I always have is there's too many patterns and I can't make a decision. It's like I can't cull the herd kind of a thing. Like they're all cute. So trying to figure it out, I tend to cut more and then audition them on my final layout until the entire thing feels right. And I don't have like design principles to rely on. I don't have like color theory to rely on. I just do me, and I just keep playing around until, like I said, it feels right. So like I said, I started with the 12 by 12 pattern papers, and then I want to say about halfway through I went to the 6 by 8 paper pad because one, I was trying to figure out if there was extra patterns in there, and then two, I quickly figured out that I was already cutting these from the 12 by 12 sheet down to almost 6-inch wide squares first, and those were already 6 inches wide. So it just felt smarter in the moment. So, and I was surprised and not surprised. Like originally I thought that I was going to use like all B-sides, and like I said, I was going to match the embellishments to whatever paper they were touching. As things progress, I make changes based on kind of what's working and what's not working as I'm, like I said, auditioning things and trying things out. Two of the patterns, the yellow arrows and the like grid paper, I did go ahead and repeat those twice. Again, it just felt right. I thought that the navy notebook paper was for sure going to make it on here, but sometimes when I am working with just B-sides and all of the patterns tend to have a similar look, so the notebook paper, the kind of like accounting looking paper, and the yellow arrows were all kind of giving that same horizontal stripey type of vibe. So ultimately I felt like I needed to break that up. So I switched the navy notebook paper to the navy with all the colorful push pins. I'm still getting that navy, but now I'm bringing in more colors from this collection. Same thing with that plaid like rainbow piece, which is from the 6x8 paper pad. And then I just kept going back to that like mint paper with the orange flowers. Now, I did go ahead and take this downstairs and I stitched all of the triangles. I didn't really worry about the middle, knowing that my big circle photo is going to cover that up. And then I just kind of tried to figure out which orientation I liked the best. I did decide to use the color photo. I liked the black and white, but this one, I don't know, I just liked the way this looked a little bit better. And I do want to explain that this layout is not going to have journaling, and this is what I consider just a play, have fun, and have the layout literally be a decorative piece, because this is going to be the album opener page for my 2025 layouts. I almost always pick a favorite family photo from the previous fall, so just a couple months prior when we did our family photos in 2024. I will carry one of those photos over and do an album opening page, and I just allow myself to have fun, to play with techniques, to go overboard with embellishing or stitching, and it's one of those things that it's just fun to look at. It's not documenting an event. It's not memorializing a specific memory. It's just a fun landing page to kind of kick off my 2025 album. Now, I knew going into it, I wanted this hello die cut piece and the memories piece from the foam stickers. So I made sure to base my triangles off of those two colors. So like I didn't want the hello sitting on the yellow paper, and I didn't want memories sitting on the navy paper, because I knew that there would not be enough contrast and I really wanted it to show up. So I made sure that where the words were going to land, the colors underneath them were going to pop. And then I also chose more simplistic or like blank die cuts. So things that were like notebook papers or like little file folder tabs that didn't have a lot of wording on them and a lot of imagery on them, because they're acting as a base to start layering on top of. And I don't want to have like words underneath competing with those title pieces. And then from there, this is, like I said, I just started having fun. I opened, I want to say I did limit myself. I think I only took 3 of the die cut packs. I didn't want it to be like, one die cut from this pack or one from this pack. So I just picked like 3. I opened those 3, went through them. For sure it was the florals. The hello came from the sentiment pack, and then I think it was bits and pieces. I'm not 100% sure. But I just go back and forth. I go back and forth between the sticker book, the 12x12 stickers, those die cut packs that I've pulled out, the foam stickers that I've already taken the memories from. And I just go back and forth. I kind of started at the top of the circle, filling in with larger, more simple elements behind smaller, more interesting elements, if that makes sense. And then my circle photo is popped up with some really thin foam adhesive, and I didn't put any foam adhesive around the exterior of the circle because I know that I'm going to be tucking stuff underneath, and it just makes it a little bit easier. I'm not really worried about it like caving in or getting pushed. There's going to be enough stuff underneath it at the end to kind of keep it elevated, but it makes it a little bit easier to tuck different things in as I go along. I did pick a bunch of these like long skinny phrases. I popped those up with foam adhesive as well. You guys have seen me do this before. Things like these big floral clusters, I love cutting them in half, especially if I know that I'm tucking them in somewhere so that they go a little bit further and you get both. You know how like you'll have a floral cluster and you can't decide like if you're going to cut it or tuck it, like which flower is going to get hidden. This way they don't get hidden. You get to see both sides of it. And I just start mixing things in. I did loosely kind of keep like yellow things away from the yellow triangles, but that wasn't like a strict rule. Basically, I just wanted anything that was going on top of like a really busy pattern to kind of be a little bit more simple so it stood out. Anything going over like a B-side was bright and vibrant so that it would stand out as well. And I just pick and choose different things. I kind of layer whether it's going to be flat or popped up. Typically, the smaller elements that kind of are more closer to your eye, I will try to pop those up. Things that are tucked and like further away from your eye, I will put flat to the page. And I just keep building, keep filling in until I feel like overall it's a good visual balance. I don't feel like it's missing something. This is one of those things that you really can just keep adding to. And it's going to kind of go based off of your personal preference, as far as maybe you are a minimalist when it comes to embellishing, or maybe you're a maximist when it comes to embellishing. Maybe you want your furthest most layer to be something fun like mixed media or stenciling or rub-ons or stuff like that. You can really go ham on something like this. So like I said, this is just a fun type of layout because it's going to be an album opener. One of the last things that I did do was I went and grabbed the coordinating enamel dots, and I'm just going to sprinkle these in here and there. This is just going to kind of bring in more color and fill in, not necessarily gaps, but just kind of like openings that help like fill in that circular kind of element thing. So finished layout, detailed photos. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, leave me a comment down below. Everything's going to be linked in the description box, and I will catch you guys next time, and check out these for more inspiration.